It's 1997, and I'm 15 years old. I'll let you do the math. I'm a sophomore in high school in a small Texas town that I'm sure I'll never escape from. I come home from school nearly every day in tears, bullied for being me, different, bullied for being something that I had only recently discovered about myself. I wonder if this is what the rest of my life will look like. I spend my afternoons that year distracting myself from thinking that the world might be better off without me. I'm 15 years old and scared of what lies ahead.
It's 2016, and I come out as transgender to my parents. When they look at me with so much sadness in their eyes and ask the same question I've been asking myself the entirety of my life. If you do this, who will ever love you? But I say to them what I've been saying myself as well. If I don't, how will I ever love myself? And so I transition, and while I found support and community at work, I feel the emptiness of life without love. I put it out of my head, or at least I thought I had until last year. Here, with about half of you, my world cracked back open.
It's 2018, and I've made it far past that bullying and into a life that's filled with joy and fulfillment, a life that my 15-year-old self would have never imagined. I work within the corporate and investment bank division of JP Chase, where, in addition to my day job, I have the privilege of being in our ERG, BRG leadership team. I see myself reflected in our marketing, our policies, and our community. 15-year-old me could not imagine a world where I would experience the joy of proudly representing the country's largest bank in a pride parade. And if you had told me that we would have the honor of standing on this stage today speaking to a room filled with this much love and belonging, well, I would have said sure. And I bet we'll have an out gay man running for president too.
It's 2018, and I get chosen to go to the Out and Equal Workplace Summit with my company, Lockheed Martin. Thanks, guys. I couldn't be more excited to be in a room with my people, all of you. And I had no idea how big that room would be. If you had told me when I was in high school that there would be a 6,000-person conference of LGBTQ people who are the leaders in the world's biggest companies, I would have said sure. And I'll bet I'll be speaking on a stage in front of them.
So I'll never forget the energy in the room at last year's mass participation. I'll never forget how connected I felt to so many strangers, but then again, we're not really strangers, are we? We were asked to anonymously write down something that we were covering at work on a snowflake. And then after a giant paper snowball fight, we opened up and read someone else's secret. It was vulnerability and bravery. It was connection. And then we learned all together in real time that someone had written down that they were feeling suicidal. A wave of heartbreak shattered the room, and together we stood up We looked around, and in place of a hug, we clapped. We clapped because we didn't know what else to do. We clapped so that this person could feel the vibration of our love, so that we could interrupt the silence of loneliness with the loudness of connection.
And then Tristan Angel Reese came on stage. A young transgender man who had just had a baby told us the beautiful story of his blended family. The beginning of that story, though, the beginning included a story that was so much like my own. I couldn't believe it wasn't me telling it. He shared that when he came out to his mother, she looked at him with so much sadness in her eyes and said, "But if you do this, who will ever love you?" And if I had thought that moment in my own life had escaped me, I was wrong. Everything came back and I collapsed into the darkness of the situation and darkness of isolation.
Later that night, while in my room, I woke up to my neighbor's sobbing. Her cries reminded me so much of my own in my most vulnerable moments, and I knew I just had to reach out.
I was alone in my hotel room, crying so much I had to remind myself to breathe. I eventually cried myself to sleep and awoke to see a slip of paper under my door. It read, "You are loved. You are not alone. I'm here if you need anything or want to talk. Your neighbor in 564, James." Along with the sweetest JP Morgan business card you ever did see.
Thank you. So the next morning I woke up to a note by my door. I held back the tears as I read, "I can't even begin to tell you how much your note means to me. I feel so alone, always, and sometimes it's the hardest thing in the world for me to keep going."
Last year, Erin told us belonging was what we do when we think our company isn't paying attention. Thank you. Thank you for taking care of me when no one else in the world was watching. I'll never forget it, and I'll always be better for it.
Thank you for letting me into your life this year. Thank you for sharing your light with me and for finding the strength to keep going.
Right, well, we belong here, and we're not going anywhere.